Hi, AT from CNC at Home. This is the Atomstack P7 portable laser engraving machine. We're going to do a review of this, but before we do that, let's do a quick unboxing and see what we get in this handy little suitcase kind of thing. Kind of like the packaging, it's kind of cool. Manual, that's important. A metal cutting board, not so important. Let's see what we have inside the box. USB cable, we'll be able to use that. Got a power supply, looks like. Alright, so here we have a power supply, 5 amps at 12 volts. We'll need that to run the machine. Some parts, some pieces, parts, belt, some tools. This will be needed. Okay. All right, here's our Y-axis. So this sits like this, and this moves the laser in and out. Okay, that's an important piece. All right, here's the laser emitter. We'll need that. All right, here's the controller. P7M40, a little bit of wiring. Okay, that's important. Here's a piece. That's actually, I think I had that back. So what did I say? Did I say this was the X or the Y? This is the Y. So this is our Y-axis. Then this will be our X-axis. It will sit like this, and here's the stepper motor that'll run that whole arm back and forth that way. Here's the other side. Okay, that goes that piece. And here are 4 blocks. It actually shows us in the instructions to use those as part of the setup. And that is it. So here's what we have. We have the pieces that go on the left and the right. Basically like that. This goes in the middle like this. And this will run across that way. Pretty straightforward. So let's dump some of these pieces out and see what we have. Alright, that's a timing belt. There we go. Okay, so that's the offset and the 2 bearing pieces. Wow, these are numbered. Step 4, step 5, step 3. Okay, I like that. Non-woven fabric. No clue what that's for. This is step 2. 2, 3, 4. This is for focusing the laser. It's kind of interesting the way that this one works is you set this on the material you're burning and you bring the laser down to touch this, and then you pull that out of the way. This particular laser has a box around it, so it's recessed back in. We'll see that when we take it out. So we don't need that quite yet. 3 pieces of wood. Surprisingly similar in thickness. Have to get the caliper out and measure those up. Those might be another way to focus. Here's some other pieces. Again, not quite sure what those are for either. I don't remember seeing those in the instructions. Here's some little zip ties. That'll help us with keep the wiring out of the way. And a couple Allen wrenches. This looks like maybe a black marker of some sort. Yeah, black marker with a little eraser. And open-end wrench. It's a 10 millimeter and 8 millimeter. We'll use that for adjusting here. These V-groove bearings have an eccentric nut on them, so as you turn them, it'll move this V-bearing over a little bit so that you can snug that in to the rail. So. Now I have gone through these directions already, and I could maybe do this from memory, but let's not. Let's go ahead and see what the first step is on here, and we attach the X and Y together. I'll bring that up on the screen if I remember to do it. This basically will just slide in like so. Get that out of the way. Ooh, that feels nice and smooth. All right, now let's take a look at these eccentric nuts. Guess it's on the back side. There's one on either side. A little bit of a blemish here. Not a big deal. All right, so that's the 10 millimeter size. I don't think there's really any adjustment that's needed on that. It's not wiggling at all and it's rolling freely. That's a good sign. Next thing we do is we put these two pieces on, and they show that apparently it helps if we use these blocks. That's how it shows it in the directions, something like that. There we go. Okay, so this uses step 2. That's a really clever way to do this. There's not a whole lot of assembly needed here, and they're showing right on the bag what you need for each step. So step 2, we're going to need these guys, and let's see. Okay, that's the right Allen wrench. So we'll just get this started. Okay, turn like that so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. Hopefully you can see that. And we'll just take the Allen wrench here and we'll just spin these in. I'm not going to tighten them up too much. I've learned over the years, as many of you probably have, that when you're putting something together, you get everything on, but not too tightly. Dig down like that. Okay, there's a little groove where this wiring bundle can sit down, and then this will come on to the side like so. Now, in theory, that's all we really need to do. And there's a few more things. We need to plug some stuff in. We need to put a belt on the back. That seems pretty good. Let's go ahead and tighten these down with the correct Allen wrench. There's really not a whole lot to do with this machine. It really is. Their partial assembly should be mainly assembled instead of partially assembled. Okay, we're going to have to flip this over for this next step. Hopefully you can see over here, step 3. So we have a timing belt. And then here we have a M525 screw. We're calling this a cylindrical pad. Looks like a little nylon thing. And then here we have 2 bearings. And this whole thing just screws into the hole. Must be something over here. Oh, well, the stepper motor's over here. Duh. Just says tighten it. Doesn't give me any torque spec or anything on that. That seems to move freely, and that's tight, pretty tight. Okay, so step number 3. No, I guess we need to do step number 2 first. I need more hands. Trying to remember if there was an adjustment. There is an adjustment here. That's right. We can loosen up the stepper motor. Ooh, I've got that tightened down. There we go. That loosened a little bit. We should be able to get this belt on here a little bit easier now. All right, and then we can tension it here. We have that torqued on pretty well, so we'll give it a good twist here. What's next? That was step 3. Step 4 we just did. To prevent timing belt from being too loose, please loosen the M4 screw, which we did here. And we slid that nice and tight and then retensioned it. All right, the next thing is they're putting on the laser module. And that's going to slide in right here. Let's get the laser module unpackaged. Now, according to the specifications, this is a pretty decent laser emitter. It has a nice lensing system to give us a nice tight, they're claiming 0.02 millimeters square dot. Specifications here say that it's a 5-watt laser, and it's a 455 nanometer wavelength. Anyway, there's a screw that runs through here. It comes out the back, and that'll tighten into here to allow us to move this up and down. So we can slide that into place, and we get it at whatever height we need. We can just tighten it, and it's in place. And that's where this focusing plate comes into play. We were going to be cutting right on this surface. We just loosen, bring that down onto that, and then it said just to back it off a little bit. I guess that pretty much happens when I screw that in. Slide that out and we're all focused. I don't know how well this shows up on camera, but this little glass window here, it's kind of a funky color to it. It's kind of mirrorized from one direction, little blue cast from the other. Let's bring that up so we can get the wiring completed here. I think that's going to be the next step, is to get the wiring. Oh, we get to put the little pads on the bottom. So we'll just take these foam pads. This will help keep it from sliding around. I did something similar with my CNC router. I just used a piece of old mouse pad, a piece of neoprene under each one of the feet, and that really helped keep it from sliding around, but mainly it dampened the vibration. So when you have that sitting on a big chunk of wood or workbench, it would resonate. And putting those pads on helped eliminate that. Okay. I think our wiring's going to mainly be over here. Let's see if that's the next step. It should be. Why, yes it is. Of course it's all the way on the other side, the first step. Okay, so here, this is already plugged into our stepper motor, and that's going to control our X movement. This is the stepper that does that. It'll move this back and forth. Now these two, looks like they're supposed to be connected, but let's follow the directions. Follow the arrow direction in figure, insert 4-pin terminal of the control box connector onto the 4-pin terminal interface of the Y connection line. Okay, so that is what we do next. We just connect these two wires together, right around the corner. Okay, that seems like that's in there properly. Okay, this is supposed to come over here and get connected into that. So let's turn this upside down so we can see what's going on. Okay, so this 6-pin connector looks like it's supposed to connect into the stepper motor. And then this, however many pins this is, goodness, it must be the 7-pin. That's going to plug in here, so that's providing power, ground, 12 volt, looks like a 5 volt. So that's what goes in there. Let's get that plugged in. Just like that. And then this cable, yep, gets plugged in like this. This cable then gets plugged in here. So this is going to provide 12 volt ground PWM. That's a pulse width modulator that essentially controls the power. And then something else, I can't quite read what that says. And I will plug in right here on top with the laser controller board. This cute little guy here. Right, so this is going to need tightening up. This belt is a little loose. Find out where that adjustment is. I shouldn't have any issues with the cables binding up. So I bet you somewhere, I bet you this is an adjustment out here where we can adjust the tension of this cable for our Y-axis. That, though, seems to be the extent of putting this together. Now we've got a hole right here. We can put a zip tie on that, and that'll help hold this bundle in place. Let's go ahead and do that. That looks like a pretty obvious choice. Don't want to get that too tight to squish that in there. I'll come back and cut that off later. Actually, I've got a utility knife here. I got this holder from my nephew last year. Kind of a cool thing. He 3D printed. Just holds a standard utility blade in place, and then you can collapse it down into here, keep it in your pocket, and when you're ready, you just pop it up. Kind of a slick little deal. So to put that back down, you just pull it in like that. You can keep it in your pocket, nice and safe, and then when it's ready to use, you push in from the back side to get past this little bump. That's kind of the tricky part. There we go. And then as that goes up, it hooks right on the blade, holds it nice and securely. Real handy. Alright, that is what this is. We can tighten up our Y belt here just a little bit. Much better. I always find it interesting. I don't know if you can see right here, there's a little diode on the controller board. And if I manually move this back and forth, it lights up. Those are the stepper motors generating electricity and powering the circuit. So, should be all good here. I'm going to make sure this is cranked down. I'm just feeling to see if there's any wiggle here if I torque this, and it's nice and stable. That's awesome. Now we have these blocks, and these are designed so that you can run this laser up higher. If you want, you can run it up like this. And if you had a rotary roller or a larger thing that you were burning, then that gets you up quite a ways. 95 millimeters. That raises that up. So that's really all there is to getting this set up. Here's another Allen wrench we didn't even need. Looks like we can adjust or take on and off this plate if we needed to, but fortunately we didn't need to. Somehow this window comes in and out. Well, there you have it. Cool little Atomstack P7. Guess the next step will be to get it all plugged in. See how it cuts? It's got an on-off switch over here. And here's what I want to find out more about. Looking at the controller, there's a 4-wire or a 4-pin plug back here. I'm hoping that's for plugging in a rotary roller. That would be really slick. We could do that. I have a rotary roller. It has a 4-pin plug. And then up on top, there's 2 pins. Don't know what that's about. Maybe there's some specifications or some secret manual somewhere that'll tell us more about that controller. Otherwise, we've got our power brick. That'll just plug in here. And then our USB connector will plug in here, go directly to our computer. We should be ready to burn. So all in all, a very painless assembly. It went together nice and easily. The steps, for the most part, are easy to follow. It wasn't very clear about this belt, but it was fairly obvious when you're putting it on there, how that's supposed to go. It did talk about the adjustment here of loosening and tightening the belt by just moving the stepper, so that was relatively easy. This adjustment out on the end, the directions didn't say anything about that. Again, fairly obvious that there's a bearing in there, just like we installed down here. There's probably one very similar up inside of this for the belt. So just by pulling this out or pushing it in, we can adjust the tension on this belt. Kind of looks like a spaceship from Star Wars or something in this view. Anyway, again, relatively easy to put together. I give it high marks for that. The build quality seems pretty sturdy for what it is. There's a little reset button back here, it looks like. Maybe that's an emergency stop. I don't know. There's some sort of electronic gyro built into this so that if we tip it up while it's doing burning, dip it up more than 20 degrees, it'll just shut off. So if it were to happen to fall over when it was unattended, hopefully that would catch that and take care of it. So that'll be it for the unboxing and assembly. I hope you enjoyed this. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the content of our channel, think about subscribing. It really helps us out. Enjoy doing your CNC at home projects.